video that's being recorded?
No, that's not live. This is just a replay later on. Hello, everyone. So this is my first online session. I'm quite nervous. I choose the office to have a quiet environment and like to guide you and talk about a little bit about some ideas we like to improve the Markset and Markset Captain training. And I share my screen with you to give you an idea for the slideshow. All right. I hope everybody can see it so far and we can move on. I know that you all are excellent Markset people and volunteers, and I'm not doing the basic stuff. I know that you are much better in splashing marks, retrieving marks, dragging marks, streaming marks, and also setting up starting lines, finishing lines, and all the stuff. So I'm not talking about this because in this case, you can, Edwin, you can teach me a little bit more. I'm also not touching base with the general stuff like the whiskey flag, so not escorting any tankers or heavy metals through the race course. We have the other document for that. And this brings me to the next slides here, hopefully. Yeah, we are a little bit fast. General notes and comments. As you know, safety first, hold on the boat. It's more important to hold on the boat and stay on the boat than showing a flag or something else. If we show flags, not boards, we need to make sure they are visible. Maybe we need to square them a little bit when we are holding them up to improve the visibility. And for all diagrams you see in this slideshow, the wind direction is always showing coming from the top of the drawing. And I've got reference material here linked. By the way, this slideshow will be available also later on the assets and on the website. We have got the Markset manual with a lot of information and also the YouTube race committee playlist. And it's always helpful to read the rules, especially after they are renewed with this new 4-year period for 2025-2028. This is just a little bit general notes and comments. The equipment is the most important part of your work on a Markset. I've got a picture left bottom where the general stuff on the orange box should be in. This is coming from the Markset menu, but what is new is that we have a very good flag bag set. We've got 8 bags, and now these bags are split up or break down to gate or start boat and to windward boats. And yes, if you compare this table, you see the difference. Some have tango and the other have first substitute. And on the right picture, you see also the table, which is shown in the Markset. So you can see exactly when you grab and you equip your boat, you grab the right bag. So 1, 2, 3 are gates, 7 to 4 windward. We've got Charlie boards. You see them also on the right-hand side of the picture. They are labeled with RIP or signal boat or both only. So it's also important to look carefully what you are grabbing and what you need. And of course, the orange box, which I mentioned in the beginning of the slides with the general stuff for wind reading, horns, safety equipment, compass, tape, etc., and of course the type book. By the way, if you've got any questions to any of these topics, feel free to jump into this Zoom and ask the question. I'm happy to answer them right away. And of course, we've got the Q&A area in the end of this one. I divide this presentation a little bit of the names and of the function of the RIPs. we have pennant boats, we've got windward boats, we've got gate boats. And I run through all the boats because maybe you will be in one of them in the next event. The pennant boat who's doing the start and the finish line is representing the other end of the start line. If you have the signal boat on the starboard, you have the pennant boat on port. It's important that you've got a good anchor and not the standard anchor, which is as a safety equipment in the boat, because you need to hold position in almost all conditions. And therefore, it's important to have the right anchor. And as you know, you need to have enough line out of the boat that you can come windward, but you need to have a lot of lines also in the boat to come to leeward if you need to adjust the pin. If you look up the top right picture, we have a little bit an incident here, because in the sailing instructions it said the starting line is between a vessel with an orange flag, and on the other side you have either a pennant boat with an orange flag or a yellow buoy, inflatable. And on this picture you have both. So this might a little bit make the sailors a little bit unhappy to see what is the original mark now. So therefore the pennant boat should not carry any mark around, because in normal life this boat will stay there the whole day and only adjust for maybe the finish line. In the picture you see also it's very tiny. You've got a small rope which holds a dead man to get the anchor line straight down, not interfering with centerboards or keels from boats. And in the middle you see the little drawing. You see these drawings all the way up for all slides. It's always you in the blue box where we're talking about. And this is positioning the boat. You will be directed by the signal boat, of course. And as soon as the line is set up, we start to prepare the crew. The crew is has most likely two recorders, a spotter, and the spotter should have a voice recorder. Optional is a camera which is recording the whole starting sequence. And it's always important if you start something like recording on a voice recorder or on a videotape that you mentioned which day, which race, which class, to give people who are not there an idea what you're talking about. Especially with a voice recorder, you need to show and to describe what's happening on the race course and on the starting line in this case. As soon as the line is set and we want to go into sequence, we hoist the orange flag. I wouldn't hoist the orange flag too early, because if you want to adjust the line, you need to lower the orange flags, you need to adjust the line, get the orange flags back up. So I would stay without orange flag just before you go into sequence. And there are multiple times or multiple options you can start into sequence. Either you push 5 horns and make sure that everybody's coming back to the starting line. However, just before the sequence, I would display the orange flag. And then we're going to sequence. We have got the starting signal. And as you as a voice recorder, you try to explain the whole scenario, like 958 is below 986, but ahead of the boat. So you describe a blind person what the start sequence is. And you see the picture on the bottom left. For the signal boat, it's very hard to see the 2 blue sail numbers because it's covered by this island boat. So this is the last sentence of the slides. You are the second pair of eyes for the race officer. And now we're coming and touching base a little bit with international behaviors. So it must be very quick. And as you know, we try to announce OCS boats more fast than slower. I had this discussion earlier. So on request of the signal boat will ask you, can you give me information right after the start? And you give them 2 numbers. One is the boats you saw over the line, In this case, it's 5. And you identified just 3. So from 5 boats, you identified just 3, and you couldn't see the other 2s, but you know that there are 2 more over the line. So you just say, yes, signal 5-3. With this information, the race officer knows there are 5 boats over the line, and you have 3 numbers. And the same is doing the signal boats. They know, oh yeah, we've got also 5 boats, but we've got 5 sail numbers. In this case, the race officer can easily hoist individual recall and say, we've got 5 because we've got 5 numbers. And I have the backup that at least 3 numbers are on the pin end. And then, of course, the procedure starts with individual recall, VHF announcing, etc. So this is nothing new for you. New for you is the 5-3 in this case. Questions to that before I jump into the next slide? 1, 2, 3. No. If you're a gate boat and we don't have a pin end boat, this is a different situation. So maybe we have only 2 Marksets, volunteer boats equipped, and we are short in volunteers. We've got 2 boats. So we are working with a pin end with an inflatable. It's most likely the same procedure that you splash the gate marks 3S and 3P and the start pin, and hopefully it is adjusted good. Orange flag on the signal boat is going up. We don't touch the line anymore. And now you have another task from the gate boat. You are going in the extension of the starting line in the same bearing than the starting line. And I have 2 pictures and 1 graphic, which shows where you need to be. The graphic shows you exactly the position, and the bigger picture shows you what you see, the boat exactly in the start pin exactly in the bearing from the committee boat with the orange flag. And this is where you hold position. And if we wouldn't have any current, you would put the bow windward and you go into gear, go off gear, and you do a lot of steering, port and starboard and gear, no gear. In this SFB, it's more challenging. You've got a lot of current. So sometimes, as you see in the picture above, you need to turn the boat around because the current is pushing you, and you put the bow to leeward and the engine to windward to hold position. So it depends on the conditions where you and how you station the boat in a good position. And very important, we've got a lot of coaches last weekend for the Optimist Regatta. You are race committee. You have, let's say, more rights than them. And if you need more space, either you or the race officer will announce to the coaches, hey, please let our team work, especially when you're dragging the mark, or even if you're in position, you can wave them away because you need to be there. And again, in this same sentence, you are the second pair of eyes for the race officer. And then the procedure is the same. The 5-3 is mentioned here again, the equipment, the positions. So different start scenarios. The last one was a gate and the first one was a pin and bow. Coming a little bit to the fun part. When you are the gate boat, so you're not anchored, you're holding position like we talked the slide before, and the general recall is displayed. And the signal boat asks you to show first substitute to the crew, to the racers. It's your job to go in front of all racers, what you shouldn't do in a normal race because of the wakes and slowing down the sailors. But in this case, because the race is general recalled, you're allowed to go in front of the whole fleet, showing first substitute and get the fleet back. Why are we doing this? Easy. We want to start as soon as possible again, and we want to have the sailors back. But they don't know because they hear only because maybe it's a lot of wind and we've got a lot of flapping sails. It's loud. Everybody is beating up. And so maybe they didn't hear the sounds. and the visibility is bad. They couldn't look back to the signal boat because there are a lot of sails, etc. So they keep sailing. They want to go race because they are unsure and not really happy whether they return or not. And therefore, if one of this rib is crossing their bow with the first substitute, they know, oh yeah, here we go back to the starting line. And then you see all the veering offs and easing sails, etc. And this brings us to the position that the race officer can start the next race quicker and sooner than waiting and recalling them by VHF or whatever. So it's a kind of fun part going around the fleet, but you should be prepared for that. So this is, for example, the right flag back with the first substitute mentioned and labeled with gate boat. If you don't have the flag, you can't do it. If you go naked without the flag, it doesn't make really sense. You can wave them and send them back or whatever, but in the end, a flag signal is needed. But it's on the request of the signal boat. You don't do it by yourself. And of course, we don't do this for an X flag because the other boats are sailing and racing, so you don't want to interfere with them. You can do the same for the AP, but most likely the AP needs also your attention to drag the start pin up and down or closer to the whatever signal boat. So it's not really on vogue to do it with the AP. You can do it. All right, we're changing a little bit position of the ribs, and we're going now to the windward boats and to the tango flag. The tango flag at our club speeds a big role for the J22 fleet, where we signal with a T flag that we are sailing without spinnaker. And we can do it on the signal boat for the beginning of the race, that everybody knows, okay, this race is a tango flag, no spinnaker. They can put the spinnaker pulls down below, and we're sailing without spinnaker, so this is nothing to do for you. But if we start the race without tango, and we have, for example, the first downwind lag with a spinnaker, but the wind picks up and we need to take the spinnakers down for the next lag, then the windward boat is coming into play and needs to display tango in the right spot. I've got the sentence or the language from the sailing instructions up on the slide. What is the rule is, there's of course a rule for it. And now we are going to the positioning. So this signal needs repetitive sounds, meaning you horn frequently from the first boat to the last boat. And most likely you will have eye contact to the sailors because they want to know what's going on. And you are pushing the horn and you're showing the flag. And therefore you have most likely also eye contact, and they see you and you see them. So there's a kind of interaction. And your position is not interfering with the boats. So you are more windward than the first mark. So they have a chance when they are rounding the first mark to see you with a horn and with a flag. And again, it's important to do it for the first boat to the last boat, that everybody has a chance to see you. This is now a mistake in the slides. I'm sorry for that. Okay, sorry. This is now, oops, found a mistake. This is good. This is not good. Oh, I'm sorry for that. My idea, I think, from this slide to show you the Charlie flag. Yeah, okay, I will try. I will work this. So, tango flag is done. No spinnaker. Fine with that. We're going to Charlie flag. What does Charlie flag mean? We've got racing rules of sailing. This is our Bible, and it says while boats are racing, the race committee may change the lag course that begins a rounding mark. So we can decide on a rounding mark where the next rounding mark is, and we can reposition the boat. So this is the same for the tango flag. You start from the beginning of the first boat to the end of the last boat with your sounds, with your horns, or with your sound device. And you show the flag or the board, we come later to boards, C for change. C, change, is easy to remember. And if you do it, and we can do it on all marks, and I have the graphic for the windward mark, which is the same position for the Tango flag. And if you do Charlie flag at the gate mark, you like to be in the middle of the gate, a bit to leeward to give them runway if something happens, but you want to be same distance to both marks to give them a chance to see that everybody boat can see you. And this is where you are and display Charlie. But Charlie is not only the only one what you are displaying and showing to the sailors, because now the sailors know, oh yeah, there's a change, so I need to go somewhere else, but where to go? And therefore, we've got the second information, and we have got, in this case, we start with the bearing, or with the left and right, or with the degrees. So you can show the sailors that the new mark moved to left or to the right, and you can give either it with a green, Charlie green, what you see on the bottom left with Christopher. Hey, Christopher, I hope this picture is okay to show in this graphic. It's from the World Match Racing Tour, and we did a lot Charlie. And this is a very good picture how to display Charlie green. So the old mark or the new mark is moving right to the right of the old mark. So I need to look more starboard, more green for the new mark. Red, as you see on the left-hand side, is the mark moves to the left with red, port, red, nice. Or you display degrees with a 3-digit board saying it was 0 to 5 degrees, the old mark, and the new mark is now in 360. And again, we're just talking about moving left, moving right. So we're not shorting distance or extension distance, it's just left or right. And you see in the middle of the slide how it looks like on other boats, because he's closing his ear, because this guy is maybe a little bit too close with the horn on his head, but the Charlie flag is okay, hanging there or flying, and he is holding up 110 degrees, meaning I need to look at 110 degrees to find the new mark. Yeah, so green, red, or degrees. Now we're coming to shorten or lengthen the course. Now I can say with a minus, I shorten the course. For example, we are running a little bit out of time, the wind dropped, I want to meet my target times, I don't want to run late, so I can shorten the course for the next leg by displaying a minus. Again, here, Charlie minus, change, and minus means I change the distance. I get the boat mark closer to the race course, or I can lengthen the course with a Charlie plus. And if I do both, this is the picture on the left bottom, I reduce the distance with a minus and move the mark to the starboard. This is a Charlie minus green. Charlie change, minus, I shorten the distance, green, I move it to the right. There are other options, of course, I can move it plus red, but this is what the race officer will tell you. And of course, this is very important, and we faced this in the Optimist Regatta last week, and you can touch only the mark before the first boat rounded the previous mark. So if you are moving the windward mark, no boat should round the gate mark while you are moving the mark. But this is, again, basic mark set stuff and on the directions of the race officer. Here, for this is important, what you display. And we've got on the picture a Charlie flag, a minus in the starboard board. And also we have boards with Charlie, like with Christopher on the previous page. Now this is getting a little bit tougher and shorten the course. There are a lot of rumors and a lot of ideas and rule changes also were infected. So we can shorten the course by displaying the Sierra flag as the white flag with the blue square in. But what does it mean? Is it go direct to the finish? The course is short and say direct to the finish from here, ignore any marks in between, which are on the sailing instructions or whatever, just go straight to the signal boat and finish? Or does it mean finish at the next mark? So I need to sail on after this signal and the finish is at the next mark. Or the race is abandoned, the course is shortened, and whatever, I see you at the bar. So there are definitely, and I'm also a racer, and I remember there were a lot of changes in the rules, and no one knows really what to do when this Sierra and two sounds, we come later to that one, were displayed on the race course. Here's the solution, the result. We've got three options with the Sierra. It's always, to answer this question, first, it's always at that mark where Sierra is displayed. For example, if you want to shorten the course at the windward mark, you go to the windward mark, put the anchor, most likely the anchor, hopefully down, or you stay on station if you don't have the time for an anchor, and you display Sierra, and either the signal boat is doing two sounds or you are doing two sounds, and that's it. You're not doing it for every boat, or you don't do it 5 minutes later. It's just two sounds. Boop, boop. That's it. And now hopefully all sailors will see you in a little rip with a little flag showing displaying as Sierra, and they hopefully know what to do. In this case, dinghies don't equip with VHF. Here we've got the advantage for keelboats. The race officer can say at once of time, hey guys, we shortened the course at mark number 1, you will see a rip with Sierra. And here, by the way, are our two horn signals and finishing. It's critical where you are. If we have the option A, so the rounding mark between a mark and the staff, that's you. It should be like a finish line that you are the finish boat and the mark 1 is the finish pin. It's important to keep the same rounding like it was described in the sailing instructions. So for example, if you think, oh, it's a good idea to go to the other side of the mark because whatever, that's wrong. You should stay on that side, that this mark is to be rounded for a sailor as it mentioned, if it's not shortened the course. So stay between 1 and you is the finish. The same for the windward mark, the leeward mark, number 3, if it's not a gate, it's between you and the gate. And again, for the rounding. If you would go in this graphic, in the middle graphic, if you would go on the other side of the 3, on the port side of the 3, then everybody needs to round number 3, head up to wind, cross the finish line, which is between you and 3, and this is the finish. But we want to help them, of course, so the finish line should be with spinnaker up between you and 3 without any more roundings. Very specific. I leave blank number B because this is a line the course requires boats to cross. This is more or less for long distance races or a mark, a passing mark. We can discuss how far away you should be from a passing mark. I don't want to go this route here in this slideshow and go straight to point number C. Number C is a gate between the gate marks. And now we're coming to the point where to be with a rip and with your Sierra flag. That means you need to have the bearing and the extension of the bearing between mark 3S and 3P, which is the gate, and hold station. Again, here anchoring is possible if you can stay in the bearing, and you try to record the finishes. For all these finishes, it's important that you've got the right equipment, meaning a clipboard, results list. You know if it's one design or if it's handicap sailing, you need the finishing times. You need a voice recorder. You should have recorders. You should have, in the end, two handwritten recording sheets, etc. So all the standard equipment and also the standard procedures are important for making finishes. And I think one key question will be from the signal boat asking you as a Markset, hey, could you do finishes? And then you should you think about and say, yes, I have everything what I need, starting with a Sierra flag, ending with a voice recorder, which is most likely a iPhone with a voice box on. And then this is new, this policy, maybe this is not really right here to make for each finishes. Yes, it is a finish. Yes, for this case, it's very important because if they are rounding the gate, they have no idea what they are doing because when you are a racer, you're going downwind like whatever, 12 knots, wind is blowing, and you discuss with the helmsman or the tactician which of the two gate marks you want to make. Is it a Chinese jibe? Is this whatever maneuver? And you don't have really time to look for this little tiny Markset boat with a Sierra flag. And therefore, it's important that everybody gets a sound signal for finishing, and the signal boat should repeat VHF calls that the course is shortened. And I remember a situation last year when we shortened the course during Big Boat Series. The gate marks were really wide. The distance between both marks were really wide, and you need to decide which side are you going. Are you going left or right from this gate? Because you need to be in the bearing, but you can't be on both sides. And the gate again was so wide that boats rounding the other mark, in this case 3S, couldn't see you, couldn't hear you, and they were racing. They were taking down the spinnakers and they were going for another beat. And so the race officer repeat that the race course is shortened, and so they stopped, but they had no chance to recognize that this race is finished at the gate marks. So be aware that sailors are not really, they have their own working and their own racing to do and not looking for any special thing like shorten the course. And we would like to help them. This is service. Missing mark. M flag. I think this is one of the most difficult situations. I had in Kiel a situation where I saw the one of the windward marks were just floating down because they ripped off, and the mark was just flying away. And we tried to get hold on the windward boat, but they didn't answer the VHF. However, a couple of minutes later, this windward mark was reporting to the signal boat, hey, you tried to call us, but we were in duty. The mark were ripping off and we were going right away with M flag on the old position of this mark, and we saved your race. And they were right. They just took the action. They saw the mark was flying away because it was really hard wind. It was floating away, but very fast. So they went to the right spot with the M flag, multiply sounds, and rescued the race. But you need to know how to do it. And this is not an easy one because, as you know, racers are rounding marks very close and they are rounding you. So it kind of scary moments. It's also important where you leave the engine. Should you leave the engine from off the boat so they are rounding your bow, or should you, because you can hold the boat better in the position with the engine up to the other direction? So there are a lot of things to think about, and also to maintain station with engine. If there's time, of course, drop the anchor and try to be there. And the most important thing during your driver's driving, one is pushing the horns and hopefully showing the flag. You try to do mark roundings, because in the end, it will be maybe a hearing or redress hearing, because some rounded the mark, some not, and then they're asking you, hey, could you give us a list who rounded the mark and you? So there are also kind of a lot of discussions going on. One is a mark missing. So in my example, the mark was getting off and floating away very fast, and the rib was very fast on the position. But what happens if boats are following the mark, because it's in a sailing instruction, I need to round the mark, and maybe they didn't see you with the M flag. So again, this is very critical, very very precise, and most likely the race will be abandoned because before you are there, it is going in a definitely wrong direction. The other option is you go to the drifting mark and people are rounding this mark, and you try to get hold on this mark and bring them up to windward, for example, or against the current, which could be leeward. So M flag is a kind of, whoa, if you've got these skills, you're good. You're one of the top-notch Markset people. But you need also to ask, why is the mark missing? Maybe you did a mistake by tying the knot or whatever. So there are a lot of things to think about. And again, M flag is a very, very precise thing. And again, you need to have repeated sounds for every boat from the first to the last. And of course, there's the other mark flying around. So it's a kind of weird situation, and it's hard to follow up. All right, this is the conclusion of my presentation. This is a funny picture, and I like to leave you with a smile in your face. This was in Kiel during the ORC World Championship when we displayed AP with a wakeboarder. But before I let you go, I like you to raise questions for any of these slides. I'm happy to jump back to show you more graphics or answer your questions right away. So don't hesitate. Open the mic and ask a question.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Christine.
So do you want, let's say if I'm on a gate boat, the gate boat to always go out with a board?
Yeah, exactly. This is standard equipment. It should be standard equipment with the boards.
And the boards have all of the shapes, like the triangles, and
we have all the equipment for at least one race course. But we need to talk about, before we're doing it, that we have a substitute mark, because we couldn't change the course during the Optimist Regatta last weekend because the quality of sailors were very wide. They were very good sailors, they were very fast, and they were very bad sailors, they were late. So when the first boat rounded the gate mark, the last boat was not rounded the windward mark. So there was no chance during the race to adjust the course. And so we need to do more education with our race officers in the future to bring a substitute mark into play. And you like this conical mark, so we have red and yellow, and the substitute mark could be the other color than the standard color. So if we start with yellow, the substitute mark could be red. So the first thing what the race officer is giving you directions for is to deploy the substitute mark, which is maybe the red mark.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as this mark is in place, either shorten or lengthen or left or right from the original mark, as soon as this mark is in place, the gate boat is displaying accordingly to the new mark, Charlie, and plus minus red or green. So yeah, it should be standard equipment on the ribs.
Because the boards are very clear. I know we use them for the match racing, and they were very clear, it seems. You can see them in the distance.
Yeah, and as you see on the left picture, a flag is flying in the direction of the wind. But what you need is to display the flag squared. So if I take a sheet of paper, for example, and I hold it this way, you can't really see it. But if I hold it squared, you can really see it. So you try to hold the flag on the corner and display the flag like it's squared. And therefore the boards are much better, especially with a C on it. And we've got this beautiful picture with Christopher here.
Yeah, that was very clear. It was a lot more clear than the flags which were flapping.
Yeah, and you see also there are holes or where you can adjust the next board. So you can Charlie green, and then underneath it would be the plus or the minus, because it's not only moving one mark left or right. Sometimes it's a combination of both. But yeah,
Sorry,
this
when you
is
say,
next level.
Felix, when you say starboard or port, you're talking about an increase versus a decrease on compass direction. Is that right?
So if you look from the mark you're rounding to the next mark, and it's starboard or green, then you look from the old mark to the right hand side. So yeah, plus, also compass plus numbers than from the old one.
Okay, so easy to remember would just be if it's plus on the compass, then you're going
red.
Green, and if it's
green.
negative, you're going red. Okay.
Yeah, correct. So make it easy for the sailor. If you round the mark, then where to look? And this guy is showing you green, so you need to look more starboard, more right from that mark you're rounding to the next mark from the old mark. So more to the right. If you look up, for example, gate mark is showing Charlie green, and you know where the old mark is, so you need to look more to the right. Don't look left, look right. And this is vice versa also. This is the same when you go to around the windward mark.
Now, are the racers going to understand this?
They are understanding it much better than Markset. They are keen. They want to have it, and they want to have a fair race. If the wind shift is coming in with 20 degrees, they hate the race officer, the race anyhow, but the race officer, if he's not adjusting the course, and if he can't adjust the course because the last boat didn't round the mark you would like to adjust, then they are getting freaky and freaking out because they are reaching or have a fetch race to the next mark. So yeah, they force you if the wind shift is coming in. And I mean, we don't have these massive wind shifts here, but in the Baltic or any other event area where we have other wind conditions, they know what to do. Especially, yeah. And if not, we educate them.
Felix, can you just clarify the Sierra flag when we in that 32.2? If you fly the Sierra flag, that then reestablishes the finish line as that flag.
Correct. So
in a shortened course.
So exactly. So what we said is that the finish line, the finish line for the shortened course is between this mark where you are and the Sierra flag. So wherever you with the rib are, you and the mark is the finish line. And therefore, I pull up the slide. Therefore, these are the ideal positions for shortening course into B.
Got it. Thanks.
Answering your question.
Yeah. Is there a scenario where you shorten the course and drop an additional mark for the pin of the no? It's always an existing mark that you would shorten it to.
Exactly. And here also sailors maybe switch off their VHF radios and they are beating up the course and they have no idea what the race committee is doing. So they will round the mark, in this case beating up, they will round mark number 1 and prepare for a kite for a spinnaker set, because they have no idea what the race committee mentioned on the VHF. So they will go around the mark, and therefore this mark becomes the finish pin.
Okay, because there's some scenarios when we go out to the Berkeley Circle where we start, way back down in the circle, and then we set a finish way upwind for a lot of times for the last race.
Yeah, you're talking about a different course layout where you have a separate finish line than the starting line, and the finish line is more windward than the first mark. But this is a course, other selected course. We are talking about when we shorten the course. So maybe we set up a course for three times windward mark, 3 rounds, and the wind is dropping, and we want to rescue the race and have this in the books. So we want to shorten the course after 2 rounds, meaning we go to mark number 1 and use the mark, which should be rounded if the course is not shortened, as the finish pin. And again, you're talking about a different course layout where you have a separate finish line than the starting line, and this is announced before the race. So this is not
Right.
shortened. This is not shortened a race.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's the existing marks, and you choose one of those marks to have your shortened course. Gotcha.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Felix, this is Jay. Just a comment to expand on that. I've done a couple of shortened courses, and usually it's happening pretty slowly because it's a race that's becoming, the wind is dying and race is taking a long time. And on a couple of cases, we had time to swing by the committee boat and actually pick up the PRO and a recorder and then go up and establish the new finish line. And that was very helpful to have those people on board. And then another thing is that racers who aren't listening to radio are surprised. And it'd be interesting to see if Don agrees as a judge. But we decided that when they come by the boat after rounding and say, wait a minute, was that the finish? You can say yes, because they're no longer racing. The race for them is over. Their score has been recorded. So you can tell them, hey, you just finished. You can't say anything until they finish. You can wave the S flag and toot that horn the first time, but the boats that are coming in 5 minutes later get very confused.
Yeah.
But they'll notice that other boats don't seem to be turning around and racing down the course or whatever. But it was, a lot of them are anticipating it because the race is clearly going to take 3 hours and it's the end of the day and that kind of thing. So it wasn't that big a shock in the times that I've had to do it.
Very good 2 comments. Yeah, thank you very much, Jay. Yeah, correct. If you've got time to get up the race officer, deputy race officer, or recorders, of course, this is helpful because they are doing it every race, and the Markset maybe not. So yeah, definitely good. And again, you're right. After the finish, they're not racing. You can give them the idea that they finished. All right. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Jay. More comments or questions? I don't see any.
Hey, Felix,
Yeah.
this is Christopher. With your example on the M flag, if the windward boat could have gotten to that floating mark that was headed towards the fleet, and gotten it before that lead boat passed the mark, would it have been better to go grab it and try to get that mark back to its position and hold station versus an M flag? Or just go and just let the mark go and get to the place where they need to go. What's the protocol on that?
There's not really a protocol because it depends really on the situation, and it's also timing. If you see that maybe the first 3 boats didn't, let's take the 1A mark, the offset mark is drifting, and you see this, and there's no time to adjust this mark, like pulling the anchor, driving on position, deploy the anchor again, and you need to rush. Then, of course, in this maybe situation, it's better to grab the mark and drive towards the wind and be there when the first boat is rounding, because then the mark is on your boat and they need to round the mark. So this is not an M flag scenario because the mark is on you. Whether they protest or not because you're moving the mark later on or not, this is another scenario. And I think this definitely helps, I think, to display the M flag, to say, okay, I've got the mark on my boat, I've got the M flag, I'm doing the sound. So whatever you're doing, you need to round us. So, but if maybe this is a situation where the mark number one is drifting, then it's different. Or the first boat already rounded, so there's no time to grab the other mark. Or you've got maybe the gate boat is close to the windward mark and can help you. He's just getting the mark into the rib. You're going to M flag position. So it's always a mix of what happening. And if it's, for example, the first windward mark and it's really bad because maybe both marks are drifting and the fleet is spread out wide, it may be even better to abandon the race and say, hey, come on, we start over again. We abandon the race, come back to the starting area, mark set up, dropping the marks correctly, and we start over again. This might be another good idea. So it's really depending on what's happening. Also, sea state. If there are big waves and you can't really go forward with a mark and you can't hold them and you need to tie again. So it's a question of what kind of situation we're facing. There's no really a protocol. It's kind of, hey, we try to rescue the race. Hopefully the racers understand it, or we need to abandon the race. So yeah, it's very hard to say what is right and what is wrong. We've got ideas to do, and we hope to do right.
So I've faced this multiple times, working the windward mark especially. Typically, it is that some boat has gotten their keel stuck in the mark. It's usually a boat that drags the mark, which is the most likely scenario, and which is most common scenario, I should say. So you'll have a boat that comes around, they drag the mark, and so now the mark is gone. They either cut the line or there's some sort of fouling that's happening at the mark, pushing somebody into the mark, which moves it, and things like that. So like in Melger's Worlds, for example, we carried an extra mark in the rib, and then we put up Mike flag with that mark in our rib, to really establish ourselves as a new mark. And if they're drifting or they get loose and stuff, then we call and ask somebody to go get it, another safety boat or something like that to go get it. But I don't know about you guys, but 95% of the time it's because somebody's dragged it.
Yeah, and then we are going
what happens here most of the time. Most of the time, what happens here is a mark goes drifting because the anchor didn't hold. And the most important thing to know is that you're part of a team here. And so the boat that is closest, so if it's the weather mark, it's the weather Markset boat, should go and become Mike and possibly anchor and get on the radio and ask one of the other boats to go retrieve the mark. Don't try to be a hero. And if you do that, you might be able to get the mark in place, you might not, but you really want to be in position as soon as possible so that the race doesn't get abandoned or there isn't, some massive protest. We do occasionally have boats that catch in anchor roads. It happens more with the kites than it does with the keel boats. But, when that happens, you use the best of your judgment.
Yeah, I guess my point being is that we always, the first line of defense is always make your boat and the Mike flag the mark, and worry about where the other mark is afterwards. So, yeah. Thank you.
All right. More questions, comments, experiences. This is not the case.
I got a story. You want stories? Yeah, I got a story. It was about 10 years ago, and Susan Rooney and I are on the windward Markset, right? And there's a windward mark and an offset. And we're in deeper water. The wind was going right, and the PRO ordered the mark to go deeper and deeper. And we had sufficient length, but the current started to change, and the marks started to dance. And we watched the offset kind of come down. Here's the windward mark, down like this, and we were looking at it, and we looked at each other, and we made a determination that once the offset got in between the competitors and the windward mark, we'd go over, pick it up while it's still in the water, still connected to the anchor, pick it up, put it in the back of the boat, and we brought it back to its intended position, and we put the mic flag up. And we did this as there was probably 50 lasers coming at us, and they understood what was going on. We had the mic flag up. We weren't anchored, but we got the mark, the offset in the right position. And they all went around, and later on the PRO said, "Yeah, you saved the race. Thank you so much." And we were like, "Oh, okay." But there's a situation where you might still have an anchor. Both anchors, windward mark and the offset, are still holding, but as the current changes, they dance. As the current comes across, they dance. And at the point where it becomes a problem, where that offset gets down, let me get my fingers in the right way, gets down over here, that's a problem, right? Because this is the offset. So we motored it up. Let's see. And the rest is history. Yeah. Good story, huh?
Yeah. Dancing
Oh,
marks in the current. Yeah, this is what I expect, what I see here also, the dancing marks, flood and ebb, and yeah.
oh.
It's special here. It's not a slack water or lake. All right. I think thank you to your participation for everyone. It was a very good hour. Good question and comments in the end. Again, this will be published, uploaded on YouTube, and the slides will be also available online. So thank you very much for coming online. Yeah. Have a good rest of the day.
Felix. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. This was helpful.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.